English. We are now the introduction. So it seemed to me that it will help some devotees to understand Bhagavad Gita in English. So we are continuing our discussion for another half an hour apart from this Hindi Gita class. So we have discussed that yesterday that karma is not eternal. And why it is not eternal? Because when the living entity understands who he is and how he should behave, then he acts in a particular way or in a way by which he will not be bound by actions. And you can take the phone if you want. And we have also understood how the living entity gets bound, because he has desires for material sense gratification. He thinks that I am this body. So identifying with the needs of the body, he continues to act in a way which is for sense gratification, and then he remains bound. And this is called karma bandhan. All these things are understood or difficult to understand? And the only way a person can come out of this cycle is when he hears in proper association, when he comes to proper knowledge, and he knows which actions are binding for him and which actions are liberating for him. Now we'll go further. And Jiva can understand all this because he has consciousness, because he has ability to understand. The Prakriti, the material nature, has no ability to understand. So we have the ability to understand, we have that Gyan Shakti. So that is why all the Shastras are there to guide the soul to understand the situation and make him understand how, in which way he should act, so that he does not become bound in this material world. Okay? And that Krishna will also explain in Bhagavad Gita later on, that simply by giving up activities, a person does not become liberated. Simply by giving up activities, a person does not become liberated. He has to understand which activities to be done, because the living entity is always active. The supreme conscious Ishwar is similar to the living entity in this way. Both the consciousness of the Lord and that of the living entity are transcendental. What is the meaning of this word transcendental? Introduction 6, page number 9. So why Srila Prabhupada is saying the consciousness is transcendental? That means it cannot be created by a combination of matter. Are you able to understand? You cannot create the consciousness of the Lord and the living entity by combination of material ingredients. That's why it is called transcendental. Why the consciousness of the living entity is called transcendental? Okay, now let us ask the question. Why it is called transcendental? You have not heard the question. That's why you are transcendental. It's just a simple thing. Because it cannot be created by any material combination. Why it is not transcendental? You have not heard what I just said. I said why it is not transcendental. That's not a proper question also. Why it is transcendental? I should ask this. Why it is transcendental?
Because it can't be created by material.
And what is this it? What is this it? What I am referring to?
Atma, consciousness.
Consciousness. It is not that consciousness is generated by the association of matter. You see now Srila Prabhupada explaining this point, why it is transcendental. That is a mistaken idea. The theory that the consciousness develops under certain circumstances of material combination is not accepted in the Bhagavad Gita. Consciousness may be pervertedly reflected. Now you may have heard this, but you see how it is misapplied. We think in at certain point of time I have taken birth, isn't it? So what I'm trying to say, that at let's say 38 years back, this body with some consciousness came into existence. Instead of thinking that my I soul with consciousness is eternally existing. I don't know how much it helps you in your Krishna consciousness, but this meditation that I am eternal being helps me so much in my Krishna consciousness. Which sentence? See, when normally we feel in normal material circumstances, we feel that I was born in, let's say 30. Now my body is 38 years old. So normally we say, okay, I was born 38 years back. So what we are assuming We are this body, and the body with the living symptoms was born 30 years back. But actually, it is not that the living entity is not that the body is manifesting the symptoms in and of itself, but because the soul has been put in this body by Prakriti under the supervision of Lord, that's why the living entity, or that's why the body is seemingly manifesting the symptoms of consciousness. The body, it is because of the soul that the body is manifesting the consciousness. I did not want to be heavy in the Hindi class, but I can be more heavy here. Because my mother is not here. We must realize this. We are nobody's son, nobody is my mother, father, nothing. We are, all of us are simply jail inmates. Prabhupada was so heavy in his lecture today. We are in a jail. Nobody is in a jail without any reason. We must realize this. We are the revolters. We are not the good people. Good people are already in the spiritual world. So now we need to rectify ourselves. I mean, not in a negative way, but we should realize this point. Now, reflecting on this point, suppose you are in a jail. Actually, you are in a jail. Did you like the lockdown? Nobody likes. Nobody likes the lockdown. Why he does not like the lockdown? Because he wants to be free. Suppose you are in a jail, and if there is a book which can teach you the method by which you will go out of the jail, will not your whole life's focus be to understand that knowledge and apply so that you can come out of the jail? Every word will be very nicely understood. Are we not reading in Bhagavad Gita almost in every chapter? If you understand this, you will go back to Godhead. Almost all the chapters is. So how much we should be eager? Now we are, if we are understanding that we are suffering in this world and we are in a jail, then we will be very serious to this understand these points. So we must understand we are not this body. I am in this body. I have to use this body for the purpose of realizing myself. But I am not this body. I mean, you must have said, what new you are saying? But have we understood the old thing? Are we aspiring and practicing my old material ambitions? Then what I have understood about being Atma is a question which must be asked by ourselves only. See, being with whatever little Krishna consciousness I have practiced, so many times I see how devotees are absorbed in dualities of this world. This is good, this is bad, this is sun, this, all because of forgetting that we are souls, and nothing of this is of any importance. Isn't it? So it is not that easy, but we have to practice. Consciousness may be pervertedly reflected by the covering of material circumstances, just as light reflected through colored glass may appear to be a certain color. But the consciousness of the Lord is not materially affected. I'll explain this point. You have a tube light here, is white light, pure light. Now, if you put a green color or green color polythene on it, you will see green light, very easy, yellow and blue like this. So depending on what mode of material nature I associate with, my consciousness gets colored with that kind of mode. Be very careful about this, because if the light is blue or green or whatever, then I will see the whole room as blue, green or yellow. Does it make sense? Should we do an experiment? Do an experiment. Switch on this yellow bulb and switch off this white bulb, tube lights. Can do it fast? And you see how it actually works. Yes. Now you see, everything seems to be yellowish. Now switch on the white light again. Now everything can be seen properly. Have you not noticed sometimes from inside the car, if your screen is tainted with a film, it appears to you, oh, the outside weather is very nice. Have you not noticed that? It may be very heavy sun outside. Oh, weather is very nice. No, weather is not nice. But you are seeing it that way. So the vision of our world will be tainted, will be seen through the eyes or the glasses of the consciousness with which we are existing with. I know you're spaced out. What important work you are doing here now? Anyways, so how this is applicable in my life? Why I'm saying those things? People around you will behave very, 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 very strangely. Don't be surprised, because their worldview is contaminated by a particular infection of mode of material nature. We can see it to the degree at least we are in mode of goodness. Then we can actually see it. And we won't blame that person. We will just see how the modes of material nature are acting. And he's bound up by the modes of material nature to behave in that particular way. We don't have to simply speak it, learn it to observe it. It's very nice, very nice. You don't, we stop seeing people in, or how to say, criticize people in a way if they behave in a particular way. They are helpless because they are bound by the modes of material nature. Are you able to understand what I'm trying to say at this point? Don't be surprised. So because his consciousness is colored like that, but the Lord's consciousness is never colored by material nature. Never. Even though he is entering within the material nature, he never gets affected. Lord Krishna says, Maya Dakshina Prakriti. When he descends into the material universe, his consciousness is not materially affected. How our consciousness get materially affected? When we enjoy matter, we begin to think that we are matter, isn't it? But the Lord is constantly accompanying the jiva, but he's never thinking that he's matter. If he were so affected, he would be unfit to speak on transcendental matters as he does in the Bhagavad Gita. One cannot say anything about the transcendental world without being free from materially contaminated consciousness. So the Lord is not materially contaminated. Our consciousness at the present moment, however, is materially contaminated. Now, you may raise a question. So, Prabhuji, if your material conscious or your consciousness is not fully pure, why are you giving this lesson of Bhagavad Gita? Because I am not giving my knowledge. I am repeating the instructions of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna as it is given by the Acharyas and Prabhupada. And in that way, I myself get purified. Does it make sense to you? Krishna says that he is God and we say he is God. Simple. Please, I'm again repeating this point. When we repeat Anukirtan, Gunanuvad, what the previous acharyas have spoken, that is from a transcendental level. Whatever they are speaking is transcendental. Whatever Jiva Goswami Pad speaks, whatever Chakravarti Pad speaks, whatever Sridhar Swami speaks, whatever Srila Prabhupada speaks, is from a transcendental level. And when we repeat it, so because that thing is pure, we get purified and they get purified. Murari Prabhu, are you able to understand? So whenever we are preaching, we should never speak, I guess, I think, because that won't purify me, that won't purify the others. It must be having a basis from what the previous acharyas have spoken. वो अपने आप में निर्गुण वक्तव्य है, उसको कहने सुनने से हम शुद्ध होते हैं. That itself is transcendental. Makes sense to you? You will not realize this, but you will realize now, you will not realize now, but you will see if you continue to hear Bhagavad Gita with eagerness and intent, with some effort, how the consciousness gets transformed. You will see in your own life. And you see those people who don't hear Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam Shastra, how they are actually thinking. It will make a lot of difference. The Bhagavad Gita teaches that we have to purify this materially contaminated consciousness. What is the teaching of Bhagavad Gita? I have highlighted and still you can't answer. To purify this materially contaminated consciousness. And what is the so you see, I am thinking these things are very easy to understand, but it seems that for the audience these things are very difficult to understand. So what is the contamination of consciousness? What did I explain just now? Yes, but what is the cause of this contamination? Maybe it is, I'm giving too much dose. Maybe I should not have this class or what. After Hindi class, everybody shuts down or what? The shop is closed and tomorrow we'll meet, isn't it? Yeah, because of avidya or the modes of material nature, the consciousness is contaminated. Just like the water drop from the rain is pure, but when it mixes or touches the earth, it becomes impure. But originally it is pure. Make sense? In pure consciousness, our actions will be dovetailed to the will of Ishvara, and that will make us happy. Beautiful line, and that's why I highlighted or underlined this. In impure consciousness, I'm thinking I'm this body. So the only way I'll be happy is by gratifying my senses. Are you understanding this point? मैं शरीर हूं और शरीर को सुखी देख करके ही मैं सुखी हो जाऊंगा. यह है अशुद्ध चेतना. But then as our consciousness become purified, we realize we belong to Krishna, and only way we can be happy is by pleasing him. It becomes natural for us to be happy by pleasing Krishna, which is the real situation for the soul. Just like your mother is happy by feeding you because she loves you. Isn't it? Akash, you're able to understand? Has not your mother many times said, my dear child, if you eat, I become happy? Are you not seeing that? That's natural because she loves you. That kind of behavior she will not have for any other boy in the world. Isn't it? It's just natural. Similarly, the living entity is natural for the living entity to love Supreme Lord and do activities for His pleasure. And that's why we do Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Denavratam Anukulyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktaruttam. Anukulyena. What will please Krishna? What will please Krishna? This is the whole point. We are trying to revive our loving relationship with Krishna. Does it make sense? So, if we chant Hare Krishna, why I said this? If we chant Hare Krishna very nicely and regularly, so our consciousness becomes purified. And then our eagerness to dovetail our activities for Krishna's pleasure will be increased. Are you all able to understand English properly? I probably feel that English is not being understood. Maybe it is a problem of language. Are you able to understand? जब हृदय शुद्ध हो जाएगा तो अब ये तो क्लास ही इंग्लिश की है तो हिंदी कैसे बोलो? When the heart becomes purified, then we can understand the only goal of life or only engagement of life is to act in a way which pleases Krishna. Don't think that it is very easy and obvious for conditioned soul. We see in devotional community also, devotees behave in completely strange ways. I would use more heavy word, devious ways. Sometimes they steal from temple. Sometimes they fight with Vaishnavas. So without blaming them, I'm just understanding they are not understanding why they have come to Krishna consciousness. And it's just a matter that if they take chanting seriously, if they actually want to purify themselves, and if they actually take to the chanting very seriously, they will understand that how that by pleasing Krishna is the only goal of my life. Does it make sense to you? It doesn't make sense to many people. You will see if you continue in Krishna consciousness, many people don't understand this point. Okay, we'll go ahead. So did you understand why I highlighted this point? So our first focus should be to purify our consciousness. We should not allow actions to be done by us which will make my consciousness impure. That should be we should be purification conscious. I must purify myself, and then I can make further advancement. Then I can understand the higher subject matters. समझ रहे हैं मेरी बात? इसीलिए वाचो वेगम मनसा क्रोध वेगम. First purify our consciousness. It is not that we have to cease all activities, rather all activities are to be purified, and purified activities are called bhakti. So now you understand why I'm saying this point? Because consciousness is affected by our activities, and activities are affected by consciousness. If I have a bad consciousness, I'll do bad activities, and that will make my consciousness further bad. So what we have to do, by the association of devotees, by hearing in association, learn what is bad for my consciousness and consciously do activities which are good for me but may not be palatable to me. That is called tapasya. समझ में आया? अपनी चेतना को शुद्ध करने के लिए वैसे कार्य करने होंगे जो मुझे अच्छे न लगते हों लेकिन अच्छे हैं. तब हमारी चेतना शुद्ध होगी. फिर जब चेतना शुद्ध होती चली जाएगी तो फिर वो कार्य अच्छे लगने लग जाएंगे. Does it make sense to you? When the mode of goodness in the heart will increase by consciously, voluntarily, forcibly engaging in actions which are in mode of goodness, then the goodness will increase, and then you will like to do actions in mode of goodness. Does it make sense? Now for many of you, all these discussions may appear very, very painful. What is this? So much philosophy. What is this? What is this? It may be, but later on you will be enlivened by this knowledge if you continue with this understanding. Make sense? And when we get to hear bogus material things, you say, why I have to hear this? Why can't just stop now? Or it should have stopped yesterday, as they say. क्यों बोल रहा है ये? So this means we are advancing in Krishna consciousness. Activities in bhakti appear to be like ordinary activities, but they are not contaminated. So what are the activities? Suppose you are packing envelopes for Krishna. Is it transcendental or is it material? Transcendental, because you're doing it for Krishna. So again, consciousness has to be purified, and then you will know why that action is being done. So this is the whole point. An ignorant person may see that a devotee is acting or working like an ordinary man, but such a person with a poor fund of knowledge does not know that the activities of the devotee or of the Lord are not contaminated by impure consciousness or matter. Beautiful point. If Krishna comes here and marries 16,000 wives, people say that he is very lusty. But is he lusty? No. There is eternal wives. And there is eternal Shaktis. So now similarly, a devotee may be very eager to do something for Krishna. Maybe like, let's say, he may be eager to collect money so that he can make a temple. So from outside point of view, a person may say, why is so much eager to collect money? But the reason is because he wants to make a temple for Krishna. Okay? Like this. Like Prabhupada was traveling with airplane and all over the world. It's not that he wanted to see the world. He has seen the world. He was not a tourist. Have you not known this pastime of Srila Prabhupada, where Prabhupada was asked, all these Swamis are coming, so what is new? So many people are coming. I think in England. So Prabhupada said, your ancestors have taken everything from India, but they have forgotten the most valuable thing, which is transcendental knowledge. So I have come to give it to you. So he was not a tourist. He was a Parivrajikacharya. So you understand? So his going in a plane is not the same as any other persons going in the plane who will go for a business or some material sense gratification. They are transcendental to the three modes of nature. What are transcendental to the modes of natural nature? The Lord and his devotee, because the devotee is sent person engaged in Krishna consciousness. We should know, however, that at this point our consciousness is contaminated. Beautiful point. A very simple line, but a beautiful point. My consciousness is impure. I am pure. I am pure, and Krishna loves me. It's natural for him to love me. Just like it's natural for the mother to love the child. But it is also possible that the child can be sick and still the mother loves. Even somehow if the child is mad, still the mother loves. It's natural, isn't it? So we are the mad child, complete mad or sick child. Still Krishna loves us. We have to stop identifying ourselves with this material world. I, anyways, I will. Whenever I see how people after getting married, especially devotees, completely entangled in material life, I feel so pity for them. It's just complete entanglement. Very few people who can actually practice Krishna consciousness very strongly. Very few people. Otherwise, the whole struggle remains just to maintain the family and somehow that and absorbed in this material affairs only. Very difficult. This knowledge doesn't descend at that time. One time somebody asked, what is the purpose of Grihastha life? Then Maharaj replied, what is his name? Jayadvit Maharaj, the purpose of Grihastha life is to come out of it. Somebody asked why there are so many divorces in ISKCON. Then he replied, because there are so many marriages. There are too many marriages. Anyhow, it was a little in a funny way he answered. But main thing he said, the so-called pleasure is so less. The misery is so much. But all because of this contaminated consciousness, we think is all very beautiful and very nice. How many of you have done night out in Ekadashi? How many times? How many times? Maximum 2 times, 3 times, 4 times? But we know devotees who have to work all night every day. And just to sell, I use the heavy word on this point, selling the soul for a few bucks. Bucks, समझ रहे ना? Buck मतलब पैसा. Some people. Yes, I also agree from the another point. Yeah, people who are attached, they need to get married and do all those things. But on an individual level, we should always feel that we should not get ourselves entangled. It's a very heavy entanglement. Anyways, and the only goal of our life is to purify my consciousness as much as possible. When we are materially contaminated, we are called conditioned. Conditions mean we will behave in a particular way. If somebody becomes envious of me, I'll become envious of him. If I see a sense object, I'll become attracted. This is called conditioning. I am forced to behave in a particular way. False consciousness is exhibited under the impression that I am a product of material nature. This is called false ego. One who is absorbed in the thought of bodily conception cannot understand this situation. Bhagavad Gita was spoken to liberate one from the bodily conception of life, and Arjuna put himself in this position in order to receive this information from the Lord. One must become free from the bodily conception of life. That is the preliminary activity for the transcendentalist. We'll stop at here. One who wants to become free, who wants to become liberated, must first of all learn that is not this material body. So what is liberation, what is mukti, we'll learn tomorrow. If you have any question, you let me know. Any questions? Okay, so we shall stop here. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada.